An entire movie's nature can be drastically changed through its editing. Certain genres are defined through their own style of editing, though most genres nowadays borrow a lot from each other, so it's difficult to tell where one style completely originated from. Here I am going to compare 4 film genres and talk about what they have in common and what they do differently. So let's jump right in. Fantasy films are edited in a way which the different speeds of editing used are complemented by the appropriate kind of content. For example, slower editing is typically only used when there is an establishing shot of the setting, or at any point in the film where there is no fast-paced action taking place, while faster editing is used during scenes of fast action, like battles or chase scenes. Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland is probably one of the best examples of this, what with it being an adaptation of one of the most classic and imaginative fantasy stories in fiction, as well as its excellent use of CGI, seen best in any of the film's scenes showing views of the wonderfully weird and beautiful Wonderland, and its fast editing for the fight scenes, namely Alice's final showdown against the Jabberwocky, which constantly switches between that and the other characters' own battles with the Red Queen's army. Sci-fi films are edited quite similar to fantasy films. They too match the speed of editing with the appropriate content. However, this time the establishing shots and fast edited scenes feature a more technological and occasionally dystopian setting, unlike the fantasy genre's more natural and beautiful settings. Tron Legacy, for example, has many shots that establish the dark, grim, and very techno setting of the grid, because the setting is as such, which greatly contrasts to why Wonderland had such shots of its setting, which was due to its beauty, which gave the viewer a sense of freedom. This glum setting stays for both slow and fast scenes, which makes the viewer see the film as a rather pessimistic one. No matter how cool the light cycle scenes were, they were fighting to the death, and the audience knows it. The horror genre is partly what inspired the editing styles found in fantasy and sci-fi films. Typically, horror movies build tension with slow editing and tense and foreboding music, only to suddenly cut to faster paced editing and abruptly louder music to make the atmosphere of the film more jarring and of course scary. There tends to be more slow build-up in these films than the actual scary moments, as the audience is left tense to breaking point at when, or if, the jump scare will be thrown in their faces. Cloverfield, on the other hand, is a slightly different case. It was filmed as found footage and therefore is mostly done with long takes, with the occasional cut here or there for time, taken straight from a poorly held camcorder. Therefore, one of the only other ways to identify the type of situation the main characters are in is through the poor cinematography, or what I like to call shaky camera syndrome. There is also only diegetic sound coming from the characters and their surroundings, another way to tell the nature of the situation. But none of this is really editing. However, at a few points in the film, the footage would be abruptly interrupted by a few seconds of another piece of footage of a peaceful and joyful trip to Coney Island. These abrupt transitions tend to happen when the destruction and fear factor of the main footage is at its peak. For example, when the main characters are suddenly attacked by a giant monster in a helicopter. Or when the footage is actively interrupted by the cameraman. This can act as mood whiplash for this already creatively jarring movie. Furthermore, the footage itself, being recorded on a camcorder, acts and looks exactly like it is, as throughout the movie, the camera's HUD can occasionally be seen on screen, and the characters can access the camcorder's features mid-action. For example, when one of them switches on night vision to see in a dark underground tunnel, only to see a monster in the ceiling, but yeah.
Is it on? Yeah. Run! Okay, run! Actually, run! What? Hey, let's start running!
This is done to make sure the audience knows that these camera shots are real and not imaginary like in most movies, and adds as a form of self-awareness, as well as making the footage seem genuine to a frightening extent. Action is practically the go-to genre for inspiration for action scenes in any other genre. Action films are almost entirely based around fast-paced editing for fast-paced action, accompanied by fast-paced music, and are practically well known for it. And they also make the most money from it. They may even tend to feature more of those scenes than breather scenes with slower editing. For example, Iron Man. There are, as far as I know, a total of 9 instances of some form of fast-paced action.
What's going on? Contact left! What do we got? Jimmy, stay with Star! Stay down!
شيل الحاجة اللي على دماغه.
Two, one.
Kind of like a dream.
He's all yours.
Inbound missile.
Flares! Wait a second. Bogey deploying flares.
Services are no longer required.
Divert power to chest RT.
I'll be right there.
Everything else is slowly edited.
And 3, 2, 1.
Though in this case there seems to be an even balance between the two speeds. So that was my comparison of these 4 genres. I hope this was helpful, thank you for watching, and see you next time. I'd better get a good grade for this.